Hi guys, can you hear me? Let me just. Can some of you give me a go ahead to say that you can hear me and see me properly? Hi Shraddha. Hi Pradeep. We're just waiting for Bhavna to join us. Okay, great. Let me just get Bhavna to join us. Okay, I think she's here.
Hi.
Hi. How are you, Bhavna?
Good, good. How are you?
Good, good.
Good
I was
to
just,
hear.
I know, good to see you after so long.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was just checking the connection. I think we're good. I think
Yeah.
everyone can see us and hear us. Just before we start with this live, I just wanted to give an introduction to Bhavna. Bhavna is someone who's known to me for a few years now. She's a holistic nutrition coach who has done her nutrition studies from University in New York, and she specializes in plant-based diet. I think today we're going to talk about the need for immunity building, especially in the monsoons and coming from summer into the monsoons. What are the changes that our bodies go through, and how is it that we can take care of it, especially given the seasonal changes?
Yeah.
So while I start my questions with her, I would ask everyone who's joined the live to feel free to ask any questions that you might have with regards to food, immunity, and such topics. So yeah, Bhavna, let's start.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, first of all, thank you so much for having me here. I think this is I mean, like I love Soul Tree. I've used some of their products and like
Thank
absolutely
you.
love the, all the goodness that's there in them. And coming to your question, so basically, like I just go I mean, not just seasons changing from summer to the monsoon, but every time there is an atmospheric change, there are some changes that are required in our body as well. Like our body is trying to cope with those changes because as I think many of us would know that like our body is made up of the five elements, which the entire universe is made up of as well. So we are very, very intimately interrelated. Like what's going on inside us and what's going on outside, and that's why changes are required. And a lot of people tend to catch flu or kind of get sick or start to feel
Yeah.
fatigued and tired when seasons are changing. So the reason for that is that the body is trying to make changes because it's getting some signals from the atmosphere that okay, there are some atmospheric changes happening. So for example, when we move from summer to the monsoon, the humidity increases, and our
Yeah.
body, even the internal body, needs to make some adjustments to that. And then of course the heat kind of goes down a little bit. Our
Yes.
body has this mechanism of sweating which cools down our body in the summer. But once the humidity increases, that mechanism gets useless because the sweat is not going to evaporate.
Yeah.
So the body has a lot that's going on inside. And so the number one thing that we all which I recommend to everybody is that listen to your body. If your body is telling you that you need more rest, if you're feeling tired and fatigued, rather than trying to push yourself, just try to take the rest, if
Right.
how much ever you can afford in whichever way possible.
Yeah.
So A, good, if you can cut down on some of the tasks that you have at hand, go ahead and do that. But for many of us, we have so many responsibilities, and that also is a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
So other things that can be done is quick rejuvenation breaks, which I suggest. So
Sure.
like just sit down for like 2 minutes and just bring your awareness to your breath and deep breathing. So
Right.
that body to kind of just gives the body that little space.
Yeah.
Or be like a power nap in the afternoon, like
Yeah.
a 10, 15 minute, 20 minute. These, just these small, small things go a really long way to help the body cope. And if we're actually doing them on a regular basis and listening to our body, then the likelihood that we'll fall sick was going to get reduced quite a bit, because, our immune system is going to get strengthened with all
True.
these.
So let
Then,
me start by asking you, how
yeah.
has your routine changed from summer to monsoon personally? What are the changes that you have made in your lifestyle or diet that could help, some of our viewers?
Yeah. Okay, that's a great question. So, of course, I myself, like, I'm very, very aware, because at some, like, long before I became a health coach, I used to have very low immunity. So, like, I could just, one leaf would drop down and, I could fall sick. So, I really learned to listen to my body. So, of course, as the I'm here in Dehradun, and here the monsoon has kind of been coming in for the last 15-20 days. So, when I felt like I'm a little bit tired or fatigued or something, I would just kind of, take it a little bit easy. Then, also food wise, some changes I've made. I've included some antibacterial foods into my diet, which are also anti-inflammatory, and which are also, like, they basically boost your, give a boost or strengthen the immune system. So, for example, raw turmeric, a friend of mine brought it to me, and I was like really happy to have it, because turmeric, as we all know, is anti-inflammatory, antibacterial. But raw turmeric is, even better, because it's in its raw form. It's not
So
processed.
raw turmeric is what they call kachi haldi.
Kachi haldi. Yeah.
You
And
get kachi haldi, which looks like ginger, but is
yeah,
actually kachi haldi. Okay.
yeah. When you cut it, when you slice
Yeah.
it, like bright yellow, it's
Bright
like,
yellow. Yeah. It's
so
very good for this weather.
yeah. So I've been taking these kachi haldi, like juicing it and taking shots along with ginger. So ginger is another really good antibacterial food. And some of the other good antibacterials are like garlic and even onion.
Hmm.
So I've been having much of garlic and onion, but definitely ginger and turmeric I've been having. Then another thing which I've done is that I've done away with big beans, like rajma, because they are pretty difficult to digest and slightly lower in fiber than your small beans, like your mung bean, masoor. These are slightly higher in fiber and a little bit easier to digest. So I've also stopped having those. I'm moving towards the smaller beans instead, because that the fiber in them, as well as the ease with which they get digested. See, we also need, we need a continuous supply of protein in our body. So so these smaller beans are actually really good. So I've done away with the big beans. Then
Right.
I've also moved on to vegetables which are lighter,
Hmm.
like more pods, like
Which
Loki,
are
toast.
lighter vegetables and which are heavier vegetables?
Okay, actually, all vegetables are light, but some
Yeah.
are lighter than
Oh,
others.
okay.
So, for
Yeah, I
example,
didn't know that. There are there, certain vegetables which are heavier. Could you give us some
yeah,
examples of that?
of these, like, say a vegetable, some people find bhindi a little bit difficult because it's got
Hmm.
the seeds in it. They find that difficult, or they may find brinjal difficult to digest
Right.
because they've got seeds in it. So that's what I kind of started to avoid those, and I started to. I mean, it's not like I've completely done away with them, but
Hmm.
concentrating and focusing on gourds and squashes more, because they are a lot easier and they're more water rich also.
Hmm.
So, uh, and the interesting thing is that in India, lots and lots of gourds are available through the monsoon, and many of the other vegetables are not available.
So
And
gourds are like your ghia or loki,
yes,
karela. These are all
very,
your gourd
yeah,
family.
exactly.
So these are, you're saying, good for this weather to consume
Yeah,
because they're light on the
yeah,
stomach.
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. So these are some of
Okay.
the things that I have made. And then, of course, I also make sure that I'm active today. I'm,
Yeah.
uh, that helps as well, to
Yeah.
remain throughout the day.
Nice. So what we'll do is, Bhavna, we're getting some questions from some of our viewers. We'll go back and forth between questions that I'm taking from people and, some that I may have.
And
So Shambhavi asked a very interesting question that she has a kid who's 4.5 years old, and
Okay.
she's asking what are if there are any precautions or immunity building for children in particular, because children do have, more susceptibility to perhaps changing seasons. So is there something specifically for kids that you'd like to say? Shambhavi, this is for you, and Classy Vogue, lots of love to you too. Okay.
So, okay, so sneak the vegetables into your child's food, because I know many kids don't like to have these vegetables, but these are the ones. Like the same tips basically apply to the children as well. So there's nothing specific for children. The same tips will apply to them as well. Children are a lot more resilient. The moment we give them little bit of support, they get much better. So if they're not having these vegetables, sneak them in. Also bitter foods really help also with building immunity. So find a way to make the bitter foods like karela, radish, if it's available. These are the foods, exciting for your child. And of course, get them to have this turmeric and ginger shot. You can add lemon. It can also be sweetened with jaggery or something for the children. So if the shot is actually like a really good thing, but of course they need to be given in a much lesser quantity than adults because of their body size. They need
less.
Yes.
And that shot should be taken once a day or once in 2 days. How often should you give children this shot?
It can be taken once a day for like say a week or 10 days or something, because that's quite, and after that they don't need to take it.
Okay. Another question we had from Nikki was, is it safe to consume non-veg food during this time? Now I know it, you are a largely plant-based diet person, but it's a question, and I suppose many people also have these, questions in terms of non-veg consumption, especially for this season. So what would you say to that?
Okay, so the answer to that is that actually it's not safe to consume non-veg in any season.
I was expecting the same answer.
Okay, but add why it becomes more dangerous during the monsoon. Okay, so basically your non-vegetarian is like it could be chicken or it could be fish or whatever, and in the monsoon the decay happens like more quickly because there is more bacteria and there is more humidity. There's more humidity in the air, and humidity gives rise to more bacteria and more decaying, quicker decaying. So there is a definite chance that there could be you could be consuming something which is not which is infected. Also during the monsoon, or when there is bacteria inside every every animal's gut also, and those begin to rise also. Like in our body that happens as well. Like candida grows because it's a fungus, and even animals' bodies have it. So there's a chance that maybe from outside it's not decaying, but inside it had these infections, or it had like growing the bad bacteria or the candida, or something like that. So they don't exactly have the same bacteria what we have, but they may have something which will also grow due to the season. So it's it's anyways not good for other seasons, but in this season it gets even worse. So we got to
may as well avoid it if you can. In this season.
Third thing, it's also difficult. It's quite difficult to digest. It's heavy, so it puts some burden on your digestive system. It takes away energy from other functions. So it may be taking away energy from immune system.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. Hi, Nisha. Saying hi back to you. Okay, another question I have for you is, can you name some of the foods or herbs which are present in our country and which are easily available, which people can consume in this season specifically?
Yeah. So I already mentioned the antibacterial foods.
Turmeric.
Yeah, turmeric, ginger, garlic, onion. Then there are certain herbs, like your aromatic foods are also very good, which are not necessarily like seasonal, but they're also very good to have during this season, because they kind of awaken all your senses, and they work in different ways to sort of keep your system in a good, take care of your system. So your cloves, cinnamon, basil, mint, your cardamom, all these are foods that you could have. Actually, I forgot to mention when I was mentioning in bitter foods, like even neem is really, if you're not getting raw turmeric, you could also, like, if you're able to get neem, you can make a shot of neem, just juice it.
So how do you make neem? You make neem ka kada with water. Just boil the neem leaves and consume that, is it?
No. The best way to have it is to actually, like, take the leaves and juice them, and add some water to it, and then have it fresh. I mean, it's like really a bit like, I must warn you. It's a big disclaimer, but if you're able to do that for like a week or 10 days, you will that there's a different way in which your monsoon went. You'll be less prone to any kind of infections. You'll sail through it.
Right. Another question, I think, which is more perhaps for Sultry, was from Anshu about oily skin in the monsoons. So just to answer Anshu, oil glands tend to become overactive during the monsoons, which leads to, open pores and perhaps overall, secretion of oil. The best thing to do during monsoon for oily skin is wash your face with plain water as often as you can, and use face packs which are multani, which have some element of multani mitti, because what that tends to do is it tends to dry out your skin and make it a little bit control the oils. Besides that, use an exfoliator at least once or twice a week to control the open pores or the appearance of them, and I think you should be good. Drink water, at least 2 to 3 liters, because we feel, and again, that's another thing I want to check with you, Bhavna.
Yeah.
We think that perhaps because, summer is receding a little bit, we may not have to consume as much water and as many liquids. But isn't that a very important aspect of monsoons, even for your insides as well, to consume as many liquids as you can, which kind of helps, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, our liquid intake definitely needs to remain up even during the monsoon, because in the summer, the signals that we are getting from outside are like very strong because there's heat. Our sweat is drying up, so we feel like, we're losing a lot of water. But even in the monsoon, we do tend to lose, because I've often noticed with people who consult me, sometimes they say that they just need to go pee a lot more, go to the a lot more, because the body is not able to use its skin as a mechanism to remove the water. So we need to keep our water intake, as well as water in different forms, like in soups, stews, kadha, juice, these kind of things. Also high water vegetables.
Nisha has just mentioned about spice tea. So I think what you were talking about is what she's saying. She says she makes a spice tea blend which includes ginger, cinnamon, tulsi, star anise, pepper, and bring them to boil and add a little lemon. And then she says I add honey to it, and which becomes my immunity tea. So, I mean, that is something that you would also recommend for this season, right? To build up immunity. Herbal tea like that.
Yeah. Also, you could try to remove the honey and instead add jaggery to sweeten it, because I would say that jaggery would be a lot better than even honey.
Why would you suggest jaggery being better than honey? Just for someone who perhaps has no sense of why this versus that.
Yeah. So basically, your honey is an animal based thing, and these days what they're doing is that they're farming they're basically doing bee like honey farming. So I mean, your honey is literally like, nothing but sugar mostly, because of the way it's being farmed. And your jaggery is basically, it's coming from sugarcane. So even though it's being farmed, at least it's coming from plants directly, and has its fiber removed, but it will still contain some nutrients which were there in the sugar cane. So is better. Of course, how it's digest, and there are many, to it.
Yeah.
But I would say that like there's a greater chance that you get more nutrients and a purer jaggery than you would
Hmm.
get honey.
Right, right. Also, I wanted to touch upon the gut health. Again,
Yes,
immunity and gut health, I think, are somewhere related. But there are
absolutely.
some people who suffer from, functions of gut, which is, it could lead to bloating, it could lead to acid reflux, especially in
Yes,
this weather. So, what
yeah.
would you specifically tell people who need to improve their gut health, especially in this weather? Or perhaps in all weathers, what are certain foods which are good for your gut health?
Yeah, okay. So that's a great question. And our gut basically, needs two major things. Okay. So one is your called prebiotics. The gut basically, let me explain just a little bit in
So,
very short. Literally like a forest, okay, inside, like like an Amazon forest with lots and lots of different species of bacteria in it. Okay, and each of them are basically supposed to be in harmony with one another. So there are big trees, and there are weeds, and then there are creepers, flowers, and grass, and everything is there, and everything needs a little bit of nourishment. Now, for example, your bad, like we also know about this good bacteria and bad bacteria. So the bad bacteria are basically like the weeds. They're also there in having a symbiotic relationship inside, till the time they're in very less quantities. So now we need to basically focus on feeding the good bacteria, and the good bacteria feeds on just one thing, and that is called prebiotics. Prebiotics are basically another name for fiber. They feed on fiber. So
hmm,
all your foods which are rich in fiber, your vegetables, your leafy greens, your fruits, your whole grains, your beans, uh, your seeds, all these become, the fiber in these becomes the food for your gut bacteria. So these are like, as long as you're having food in its wholesome form, you will be getting enough prebiotics, which is your good fiber. Um, Also, there are certain foods which have like really good high quality gelatinous fiber, which is also very good for the gut, which is like your aloe vera, chia seeds, foods that gel up. So they contain a different kind of fiber, which is also like really good for the gut bacteria. And of course,
right.
the thing is probiotics. Probiotics are bacteria themselves, foods that contain bacteria themselves. So you also get these pills, probiotic pills, which basically
Yeah.
contain or you may consume foods which also contain these probiotic bacteria. So, like for example, your sauerkraut, your kimchi, your kombucha, your kefir, various foods like that. And then, of
Yeah.
course, there are foods also. Like these are all the raw foods that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Quality of live bacteria is good in them. And then, of course, all our fermented foods also contain probiotics. The important thing is that some people feel that they'll take probiotic, and then everything will be fine. But remember, put when you put a probiotic in, it's like you are you got a pet inside. You got to feed that pet to make it grow. So
Yeah.
you antibiotics coming in like on a regular basis, like daily in all the meals. So
Sure.
yeah, so these two are what keep
Sure.
your
Sure. We'll
bacteria.
just take a couple of questions. Nikki has asked, how about having milk and curd during this season?
Okay, again, that's a difficult question because I, I focus on only plant-based nutrition, and I do believe that
But
uh,
curd does have a certain amount of probiotic,
yes,
doesn't it?
yes, curd has a lot of probiotics, which is why it is considered like something really good for your. It used to be considered like that, something very good for your system,
Yeah.
and yes, it does contain the probiotics.
Yeah.
Uh, However, it also contains a lot of other things which milk these days contains, like your pus cells, your hormones, all the antibiotics which the animals are given, the stress hormones which are there.
Yeah.
So it's really like, whether you want, you're taking something good, but you're taking it with a whole lot of bad things also in it.
Yeah.
So I would say that, like, the same probiotics the same probiotic you can get with a plant-based curd also. So you
As
could
well.
basically make curd out of any of your nut milks, and you will get the same probiotic from that also.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
your dairy products, or even your non-dairy alternatives for that matter, are
Yeah.
little bit difficult to digest. Again, dairy products are more difficult to digest. Plant-based alternatives are slightly easier, but they too are not that not that light, because many of them are processed and fiber removed and things like that.
Right.
So keep it low, keep the quantities low, and I suggest that your dairy alternatives, or your milk and curd, it should not be had in its in its original form. Like, have
Right.
milk in the form of, add it into something, like just a little bit, and have it like that, rather than have a glass of milk, because none of
Glass. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Amrita has a question. Amrita is saying how to take aloe vera. I'm assuming that she means if you want to ingest aloe vera,
Yeah.
we all, have kind of known how to put it on your face or hair. But if you need to ingest aloe vera, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, you could actually add it to a juice or a smoothie. That would be the best way to have it. So you take fresh aloe vera stem, you extract the gel from inside, you can blend
Yeah.
it a little, add a piece. Like if you're making a smoothie, just add like say 1 to 2 tablespoons in that, or if you're making a juice, just add 1 to 2 tablespoons. I think that's about all you would need. It's quite a lot.
It's quite a lot. Okay. And Nisha has another question. She's asking, how about Yakult? So I think Yakult is the probiotic drink, right?
Yeah.
That
Okay.
they
Yes.
advertise.
So,
Is that okay to have as a probiotic drink?
okay, Yakult is one of those. I mean, I don't want to like demonize like brand, but I'm sorry, since the question has come so directly. Nisha, what you need to do is look at the bottle of Yakult and read the ingredients which are
Ingredients.
there. So it's got the bacteria, but it is mixed with sugar, milk, and various other chemicals. Okay, so just try and get the your those probiotics which you're trying to get from Yakult, in a different way, where all these additives are not, especially your sugar, milk, and other. So
Okay. So I wanted to ask you another thing. I also know that you've been a yoga practitioner for many years.
yes,
I wanted to ask you, are there any specific asanas or pranayams, anything that you would recommend specifically for this season? Because also in monsoon, what tends to happen is a lot of inflammation. So we
yes,
just spoke about gut health, and now we'll speak about inflammation.
right,
Someone like me who, like we were discussing, has a pretty decent gut health, but I tend to get inflammation.
yes.
So I keep looking for ways where, my inflammation kind of doesn't go up and it keeps kind of in check. So would you recommend any yoga or pranayam that perhaps has helped you personally?
Uh, Definitely, like deep breathing and any pranayam. Like there was a point, like I had sinus, which is also an inflammation, and at that
Yeah.
point, not do any pranayam at all. So if I just managed to deep breathe, that was good enough. So the whole point of pranayam is that we breathify our body, and it is so person specific, right? Like what they're really able to do.
Yeah.
So any kind of breathifying work that you're able to do is good, because basically what it does is it there's extra breath and oxygen going into your body and into
Hmm.
all the cells of your body, and basically it's like an oxidant, sorry, it's an antioxidant, sorry,
Yeah.
so it
It
breathes
oxygenates your body parts, and
your
that's
cells,
what helps. Yeah.
so it reduces the inflammation. Now inflammation is basically like there's actually always some inflammation in our body, that
Yeah.
but what happens during the monsoon is that it may kind of get aggravated a little bit,
Yeah.
because when the season is changing, especially during the monsoon and the humidity is more, our blood vessels begin to get a little bit, may change their size a little bit, so the blood flow reduces and stuff like that. So again, if we go back to our foods, which like vegetables, fruits, and leafy greens, these are the foods that basically make our blood thin and keep our foods very low in fat. That's what makes our, and that way, like our inflammation can basically our body is trying to reach oxygenated blood to that place where inflammation is taking place, so that the nutrients can be carried over there, whatever is needed. So the better the quality of our blood and the thinner our blood, the quicker it'll be able to reach and yeah, and do its job.
Okay.
That made sense because like
No, you did. I think the whole anti-oxidation is another topic in itself, because to be able to facilitate the anti-oxidation process within, just like how we have antioxidants outside, like vitamin C and serums and so on and so forth, it's also important to, oxidate your body from within. And I think that's pranayams really help. Personally, for me, my pranayam has been on a regular basis, my practice, and that I feel helps a lot from inside, as much as putting your skincare and your food, skincare, inside and outside, whatever you apply, they all have to go together. One doesn't show results without the other. So I think this whole process is a very holistic process. You can't have one at the cost of another. It has to move together.
We have to align, and in fact it's like this whole beauty inside out approach. And while we're talking about the subject of oxygenation, I mean, that's just one of the physical benefits of pranayam. The benefit of so far reaching. It's psychological, physiological, metaphysical, so many different layers and levels. It changes your moods, your personality, and so it has far-reaching impact on. Sorry, did I go missing?
For like 3 seconds, yeah. It has far-reaching impact, is what
far-reaching impact, and I mean, when we're feeling good, anyways, our skin begins to glow, right? And we heal fast. So much has to do with how we are feeling, and pranayama, all that as well. Like that's the main.
Hello, Indian skincare home. Hi, back to you. I think we've pretty much covered all the topics that we'd set out to speak. Any parting words? What is that one habit, if you have to inculcate for the next 2 months when monsoon is still here? What would that be?
Okay.
I think for me personally, it's going to be turmeric and lemon shot.
Okay. That's a great one.
So for you, what would it be?
Okay, for me, it would be 1 portion of seasonal vegetables and 1 meal of seasonal fruits in a day, and like throughout, cooked in different ways, enjoyed in different ways.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so it was really lovely chatting with you, Bhavna. Hope to see you again soon, and thank you for your valuable feedback and all the nuggets.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you everybody who joined in as well. And I hope the session was
Thank you. I love your kajals. Indian Skincare Home is saying thank you so much. Amrita, we've already answered your question before, so we'll save the live. And if you could see that over there, that'll be great. Thanks everyone who joined.
All right. Bye. Stay safe even if you're going out. Bye-bye.
Bye.